If you're listening on podcast, be sure to tune in to our YouTube channel on YouTube at Wild and Weird WV.
Welcome to Wild and Weird Radio, a Wild and Weird West Virginia podcast.
Greetings, everyone. It is time for the Wild and Weird Radio Live. And boy, do we have a lot to go over tonight.
So what was
it's going to be crazy. Hang on, I got a little audio issue going on here. I'm fixing it right now in the present.
I think the entire show is going to be the news because aliens, non-human intelligence.
Right. Can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No.
Brandon, can you hear me?
Hang on, guys. Just bear with me. Just 1 second. I think the audio got switched. Try that, Joe.
Test.
Copy that. I got you loud and clear. Can everybody hear out there? We have a heck of a show coming down.
Sounds clear on my end.
All right, everything's good over here. We had an audio switch is what happens. No big deal. It wasn't any kind of MIB or anything like that. It's all good. We don't have any retaliatory, nothing like that. So we're good.
We got
let's get everybody.
Chain Craig hanging out here with us. We got the Deucer in the house. We got James Boggs. By the way, man, I don't know what happened with your this is the second item that I have shipped to your area that has taken a dump. So I'm making you another one because that one was the last one I had. So I'm making you a new one and sending that out. Then Pat's here. You actually made it on time this week. We got who else? Ada Cox is in
a
the
lot
house.
of people.
Spooky Appalachia. Ashley Hilt is here with us as well. Is Joe mad still? I don't even know what I'm mad about. I don't even know.
It's constant.
Russ Bailey's in the house. What's going on?
Hey,
man?
Russ.
We got Teresa Racer hanging out with us. Eric McMillan's in the house. Adam, the executive producer, Good, is in the house.
Yep.
Then, man, you guys are like blowing it up. Shane Lorison, how are you doing? Going through everybody here, trying to get caught up. Man, all right.
There's a lot of them. We're already starting. We're already starting to break some records as far as the comments. It looks like. Keep it rolling, guys. Keep asking your questions and keep interjecting throughout. I'm going to read these really quick. And these are our super chatters. These are the guys who make this show possible for you guys. We got Dewey Edwards, James Boggs, Spooky Appalachia, Larry Host, Guitars and Chains, Craig, Travis Rednick, and Jeffrey Steele. We have more. It's coming back around here because I caught it on the end there. Yeah, it's scrolling.
That's absolutely right. Do not forget to smash that like
smash it
and share it out because this show is the one that
Adam Good
to watch.
Teresa Hunt on Histories. Okay, listen, guys, here's what's happening. This week, this is going to also be the podcast. So what's going to happen is toward about the hour 20 mark, we're going to actually break audio, but not here. You're going to stay here with us. Everything's going to roll.
Show ending.
Yeah, you're going to be with us. Yeah, we're going to do a fake show ending. Okay, so here's what happened last weekend. I want to go over this real quick. I was at the Kecksburg UFO festival. Had a great time. Met so many incredible people, incredible experiencers who came over and literally said, for just, I don't even know. I can't even talk about what they said because it was just, I'm still having time trying to process the amount of people who said that I actually helped them. And all I did was go up there and share a story. So I want to give a shout out to some of those guys because they were just spectacular people. You're going to know who you are if you're listening. Greg, Joe, Bethany, Michael, Erica, my ancient astronaut theorist. We all say yes, by the way. Amanda Overend, and Steve and Amy, Nikki, Augustine, Patty, the amazing individual right here. I'd like to get her on the show one day. She actually helped save the mummies when they came on display there in the 80s when Zai Hawass and his crew were there. They were going to actually cut the mummies up and do dissections. Patty stepped up and said, "Why are you doing that? We got this technology. We can just run them to the MRI, scan them, and preserve them." And he said the same thing I did. You help preserve history. So yeah, big shout out to Patty for that. Tony, and Harley, you're the future podcasters out there. Judy, Patty, Jean from Johnstown, and Paula. Thank you guys for making Kecksburg an absolute blast, and a lot more of you guys as well. As Joe does this, I'm going to get this show started. As you all know, yesterday, the House Oversight Committee was held to discuss whistleblower claims, among other things, UAPs, recovered alien non-human technology, cover-ups, and national security. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a truly historic moment. This is not an over-exaggeration or an attempt to draw more viewers with sensational headlines. We want to draw more viewers with actual content. This is a detailed look at what was said and how it was said and possibly why it was said. Right, Joe?
Yeah. And like Ron had just stated, one of the biggest takeaways for me from the entire briefing was basically hearing a lot of our stuff echoed over and over and over. But the biggest thing for me was the towards the very end when they were trying to get people to speculate and you're trying to ask these questions. The three men on the panelists, the witnesses, the observers,
You'll get to hear all that.
were saying, follow the data.
Yeah.
I won't speculate.
Yeah.
Follow the data.
Yeah, and you literally took the words right out of my mouth. This is the pre-planned thing I was reading there. But this is not about speculation. The show will not be about speculation. If we do speculate, we will make sure that we note that we are speculating because, hey, a little speculation is fun,
Yeah,
right?
there will be a segment at the end where we will openly announce time for speculation, and then everything after that is going to be a grab bag. But
that's right.
Prior to that, we are covering just the data.
Honestly, guys, the truth is way more stranger than anything we could probably speculate at this point.
Yeah. So
that being said, everyone, let's get this show on the road and let's start. Oh, you know what?
Spooky. It's
you know what? Let's hang on just for 1 second because there was something else that happened up there. You remember the incident we had at the workshop? I want to go ahead and cover that while we're in the way here, before we get started. Where the battery that Pat had issues, right? Okay. Well, I talked to somebody who was more than qualified to talk about this, and I got it on recording. And here's what I got for you. So maybe an answer, maybe something else. I don't know, but here you go. You guys enjoy.
Go ahead. We got here, and your light worked.
Yeah, my light worked. I knew I was coming out here. I knew it was going to be dark. I knew I needed a light.
Do you have the light?
I have the light. My light's right here.
Okay.
It's a light I've had for a long time. I double-checked this battery. This battery was not corroded or anything. I put it in the light. It worked. So I thought, okay, we're good. It's not a new battery. It's got an old expiration date.
But it worked.
But it did work.
And we went out on the trail.
And I've been playing with it, just fidgeting with it all day, and it lit up every time until we went down here to go walk down the trail, and then it just would not do anything.
Dead battery.
Just dead
right?
battery. And then I go and pull it out, and it's
This
swollen
battery
and corroded.
looks like it has been I mean, that looks like an old battery.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
hold it. I'm
I
trying to get close up because this looks like, I mean, it's swollen. It's physically swollen. Like it's an old battery, but it wasn't an old battery. This thing,
yeah, I
look at
mean,
that.
I believe that it could swell that fast, and it probably could leak a little bit, but the corrosion is what gets
The
me.
corrosion is weird.
All right, so I'm here at Kecksburg, the UFO Fest, and I ran into someone. Stan actually introduced us. This is Tim. Tim is more than qualified to address this battery issue. You want to tell them what you do, Tim? Like,
Actually, I'm a software engineer. I work for a small IT company in Columbia, Maryland, and contracted to the Defense Department.
so Tim,
Okay.
what would cause it?
Well, in my opinion, and also my experience, the only thing that would cause a battery to do that generally is being exposed to extreme weather, hot and cold, enough to make the internal battery case crack and allow the acid to come out, so it would corrode over a matter of time. I've had to replace a number of electronics, clean them up, or throw them away because of battery corrosion, but I have never seen anything come out, a battery do that right out of the box.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there with the black, but you heard the audio, and that's all that's important. You heard that last part too. He's not sure what would happen. I also want to address that I know Pat said that it was an older battery. The expiration date was 2024 on that.
There you
Thank
go,
you,
Pat.
Adam.
We'll buy you some new batteries.
Buy some new batteries, buddy. So I also want to point out, I did talk to another person. They did not wish to come on camera. They did address the swelling part of it and said that that could possibly be caused by a direct heat of some sort, some nature that built up inside the battery. Speculation on that. Again, we don't know what caused that. All we know is that it happened. I talked to another individual who said that it's okay. Their batteries, these Duracell batteries, will explode from time to time. So he actually said that he had seen them happen on a shelf. That there's something that's been going on with it. I do not know. I am looking into that right now. So
Well, we had when Ron had called me and we started to talk about it. What we're going to try to do is see if we can find. If Pat has another battery or even the box that came out of.
The light doesn't work anymore.
Pandemic era batteries, if they were produced during the pandemic era, then there's a good chance that the aluminum was thinner, because if you remember,
maybe
beer cans were getting thinner.
There was an
soda cans
aluminum
were getting
shortage.
thinner.
Yeah, there was an aluminum shortage. So we're going to check into
caused
that.
these issues to get a little squirrely, and
Maybe.
If
Who
that
knows?
carried over into the batteries, that could actually
Right.
damage the integrity of the battery.
So
and
that's
cause leakages on the shelves.
it's
etc.
plausible, completely plausible. So we're looking into that. That's the lead on that. The other part was we had all those weird incidences last Thursday where everybody's talking about their phones doing things, right? So we had a theory on that. It was maybe, just possibly, that those phones were trying to connect to an upload, like a cloud. Like they didn't have internal storage. Maybe it was full. So they were trying to upload to the cloud and get those off. If it couldn't upload to the cloud, it would say memory full, right? So we don't know. We're still following up with that. It's been a really, really busy week since I got back from Kecksburg, and it's still busy because we're getting ready to head off to where are we going next,
Hocking
Joe?
Hills,
Hocking
baby.
Hills. We're going to Hocking Hills. So I won't be able to go through a lot of this evidence, and it's killing me until we get back from that. And by then we should have some answers. So that's what we're hoping. Anyway. That's all I've got for you on the update for the weird workshop thing, but just letting you know it is happening. We are still working on that on top of everything else.
Good deal, Pat. If you have any from that same box, definitely snag one, put it aside, and let us see.
Okay.
Hey, Ashley Hilt's going to be there at Hocking Hills too. Good deal. Stop by, check us out. We're going to be
Good.
Know where we're going to be. We'll be somewhere, I think, near the speaker hall.
We'll be there somewhere. I don't know where we'll be. But definitely stop by.
It absolutely was a fantastic first birthday. Ash had a blast, smashed his face into the cake. It was great.
All right. Are we ready to start the show? Yeah. All right, here we go.
The National Defense Authorization Act of 2022 established the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, to conduct or to coordinate efforts across the Department of Defense and other federal federal agencies to detect, identify, and investigate UAPs. However, AARO's budget remains classified, prohibiting meaningful oversight from Congress.
Okay, so we knew that they were looking for more money the last time. That was no big secret that they were trying to get money. When they showed up with their little slides and explained all this stuff away, and then conveniently had a couple of things they couldn't explain away. Now we know why they couldn't explain it away. If they would have explained it away, they wouldn't have gotten any funding. It'd been like, oh, you did your job. That's why it's somebody else's problem, I guess, right? So whose problem does it turn out to be? Well, apparently it turns out to be Congress's problem, because they don't know what the budget is here. And I don't know that they're going to be able to figure that out. I mean, apparently there's a lot of loopholes you got to go through to get some answers on this stuff. Isn't that right, Joe?
Yeah. Yeah. The budget, that's going to be an entertaining one to tackle. Because you just,
that's why I threw it in there. That was probably, I mean, that was right off the bat. We got a really good little shocker right there. You know, that was good. And we knew it was going to be a good show, but it gets better.
Fire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody for making this happen today. And I want to remind everybody this is a nonpartisan issue. This has nothing to do with party politics. I think the cover-up goes a lot deeper than that.
Damn.
Yeah, man. You know, what's great is I wrote the soundtrack to all of this, like, in the 90s. So that was obviously, that was Cover-Up. That was Majestic X with Cover-Up. That's my old band. Shout out to those guys. But yeah, that was pretty funny. So we're talking cover-ups, like, for real. That's not like, you know, you and me talking about cover-up. This is Congress.
This is Congress officially saying the
There's a cover-up.
cover-up goes far deeper.
I thought I was watching an episode of the X-Files.
Yep.
I mean, that's what this felt like when you were watching this whole thing. It just
I was
goes.
waiting for a camera to pan over to somewhere in a corner, and there'd be a
Yeah,
guy like,
right. Yeah. Maybe we need to go back. Well, you know, that's the thing. They had that camera just locked on. I guess that's why they did that, because he was probably back there. All right. So anyway.
I know I saw it in the crowd there, George Knapp, my buddy Jeremy Corbell. They're not witnesses, but they've provided some statements on this subject, and I seek unanimous consent to enter those statements into the record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
Also, would like to enter in, I understand now that this is unclassified and it's public record, but as we all know, that's sometimes difficult for the public to get a hold of. A report, Defense Intelligence reference documents, advanced space propulsion based on vacuum, space-time metric engineering, some light reading for some of our members.
Without objection.
Thank you.
Now, it's not that hard to get hold of, and if you really want it, all you got to do is go back and look at, I believe that was one of the episodes we covered. There's a link there that'll let you go straight to that. And
vaping man.
he's evolved, Teresa. It's just a big puff of smoke. You don't even see the guy's face now.
Does he wear a man bun now?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
He's been reimagined. So, yeah, but yeah, that's a very interesting light reading that he's talking about there. And that was with, you remember the Black Vault drop back a few years back when we covered the whole thing. Mm-hmm. This also has my favorite topic that Kit Green and Gary Nolan, or mostly just Kit Green, had in there, where he had authored the paper about biological issues, near field radiation, all that stuff. So it's all in there. So they entered all that officially into the record, is what I'm trying to get at here. That's a big deal.
I would like to see the statements from Knapp and Corbell that were submitted.
Yep.
Because the chairman, if you heard, there was no hesitation to him saying,
oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Knapp wrote, since 1969, the position of our military has been that UFOs pose no threat to national security and are not worthy of further study. I'd say that's the biggest understatement of the decade. He also goes on to talk about the dismissive attitude. It's at odds with what was revealed in documents, reports, and internal memos. I can state that as a fact.
Oh, what was up with that guy?
So here's
That guy
another.
was in the middle of shape shifting.
I wanted you
That's
guys
what's
to
gonna
see that. Well, I wanted you guys to see that. I found that by accident watching this because I had to watch it. It's 2 hours thing, like, I don't know, 3 times now. That's how much I love you guys. I had to do that. But so I caught that. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. And they're making a big play on this, by the way, on TikTok, saying
Yeah.
there's something up with this. I don't think
Blink
so.
sideways. Look real close.
No, I don't. I thought for a second, wait a minute, what did I just see? But I went back and I watched the rest of it. He actually blinks before. He does that at the camera, but then he like kind of does one of these numbers like he's getting ready to fall asleep.
Is it like signaling or something?
I don't know if he's signaling or if he's literally just getting ready to
Now-
fall asleep and
Now,
waking
I'll say
himself
this,
up.
Okay, I have been in not the federal side, but I've been on the state side of some of those rooms. And when the AC kicks on for the first time during the day,
It's a good
nothing
point.
goes out because it's a very
Yep.
old building and structure, and they've got sheet
Yep.
metal ductwork. So all the stuff settles. It could have been that. I'm leaning that.
I don't think there's a conspiracy there, is what I'm saying. I wanted to address that just to cut it off right there. Shane Lorison, you said the same thing that we said about what, 4 or 5 years ago now at this point now? I think it was.
I think where we're headed.
Yeah.
That's something that Ron's been saying forever, and I agree.
We're just going to call it an event and leave it there because I don't know what it is.
All right,
but
next clip.
Next clip.
So this is huge. This is worldwide. I think we suspect what's going on.
Now, I wanted to put that in because that does kind of, it highlights it. This is worldwide. This is big. It is huge. It's literally history. This is history. Or he's having a migraine in real time. Yeah, he could
It's
be,
possible.
bud.
I've made that reaction multiple times.
Well, Joe, you've actually thrown up on the air almost.
That's true. That's true. I
Yes.
did. I ran off screen, hurled, and came back.
That's
'Cause
right.
I'm that dedicated.
Well, the show must go on. So here we go.
We've run into roadblocks from members from the intelligence community, the Pentagon. I proposed legislation to go in the FAA reauthorization that just said if an airline pilot has a sighting, that when he makes that report to the FAA, that it would come to Congress. But I was told that the intelligence community did not like that, and the amendment was not even heard in committee. I think it's time for this country to take back our country. We need to tell the folks at the Pentagon they work for us. Dadgummit, we don't work for them.
Dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
Yes.
I agree.
Amen.
So
Yes,
say we all. So listen, here's the thing about that. What he just said right there is another thing of what? I mean, they know, but they're not letting these people. I don't know. I don't get it. It's like,
Well, I think he was directly referencing the military-industrial complex.
indirectly, you mean?
But because, and we're probably going to hit this again later,
Yeah.
right? We were talking about
Yeah,
how
we
the
will.
dark ops are funded, how these dark projects get their money and things like that.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that.
Those are all. We'll cover that later. I don't want to hit it right now.
Yeah, let's not go
But
in that. Let's shelve
all
that
of
for right
is,
now.
Is headlined and spearheaded by the Pentagon pushing this stuff forward. Who's the ones keeping all the secrets? The Pentagon.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think that's more or less what he's
and
addressing there.
I want to apologize for you guys who tuned in and you're like, wait a minute, this is a serious show. It's not. This is just a serious topic, and we switched gears here a little bit. So if it wasn't what you were expecting to see, we apologize for that. But don't worry, we can get goofy later too. It's all good. So right now, the show goes on.
Dadgummit.
Dadgummit.
And that's exactly the point. This is an issue of government transparency. We can't trust a government that does not trust its people. We're not bringing little green men or flying saucers into the hearing. Sorry to disappoint about half y'all. We're just going to get to the facts. We're going to uncover the cover-up, and I hope this is just the beginning of many more hearings and more people coming forward about this.
Yeah, man. It's like this is becoming a drinking game because every time he says, I swear, it's like they say cover up about 5 or 6 times during this whole thing. And it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, no. I mean, it's
Directly points the finger at the cover up, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy is what it is. It's just like, I don't even know how to explain it. The next clip. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
cracked up too when he said that. Like, if you would have been in the room with me, and even just now rewatching it, like he said, unfortunately, we are not going to be bringing out Little Green Men. Sorry to disappoint about half of you. I mean, yeah.
Well, they're not green, so.
This isn't just how I feel. In fact, the American people largely believe that the government has actively covered up the truth about UAPs. One poll in particular found that 68% of Americans believe that the government is hiding information about UAPs and not being honest.
I mean, cover up. I swear to goodness, dude, this, you can't make it up. And I did not edit this. This is in real time.
Yeah.
The only thing I did is cut out the little, boring parts, but it's all, this is in chronological order. Thank you very much.
See, I was shocked at that number too.
68%.
I saw that and I was like, man, 68%, really? What state did you poll them in?
Yeah.
Today is the first hearing of its kind where we will attempt to get down to the bottom of what is actually happening with UAPs. But we will hear from people who have had personal sightings rather than Pentagon bureaucrats who have always been sent to stonewall our investigations.
And we're now reasonably confident that these triangles correlate to unmanned aerial systems in the area. The triangular appearance is a result of light passing through the night vision goggles and then being recorded by an SLR camera.
Good times.
Been here, done this.
Yeah. That's why I keep all these little snippets from all the past shows right there. I mean, this is a visual record of, it's there. I mean, you don't have to, yeah.
I think they're going to try real daggone hard, and something's going to happen, and they're not going to be able to run from it.
Are they going to cover up the cover up? They're going to try. Have you guys seen some of the, I noticed today there's a couple Reddit posts where they were talking about Grusch. Apparently there's some articles where they just took these terrible pictures of him and made him look really bad.
Yeah, they have.
Like, that's,
they make him look unhinged.
That's what you're looking at. That's what you're dealing with right there, guys. That's what you're dealing with. And that's what I think it was, I can't remember who it was at the end. He talks about, it's the media's job to actually help rather than hinder. And it
well,
is.
We're going to go back to what Eric said earlier, and this pertains to the media and everything else too. Eric McMillan earlier, he said, follow the money. A lot of these big mega corporations are in the back pockets of these media institutions and these folks who are writing all these articles.
We know
it's
that.
all part of the Schmear campaign. We're going to hit some of those companies later. Hang tight.
Just so that the press knows and the people know, we were even denied access to a classified briefing in a SCIF prior to this hearing due to the amount of hoops that we had to jump through to grant temporary clearance to witness Grusch, who has knowledge of classified information. It is time to have an open-minded discussion on this topic, to hear the evidence and understand the magnitude of what this means, not just for our nation, but for humanity.
There's humanity again, not just the nation. There's a lot of people who want to talk about America, United States, which is wonderful. I'm all for that. But this is a situation that affects the entire world. And it's time that we start, stop laughing about it and call it for what it is. It's that serious. Joe, why don't you explain to what we just saw right there, though?
With Miss Luna?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So what she was talking about there is all of the hurdles that they had to jump through just to have this meeting. This meeting took a freaking miracle to occur, and there was months of not months, but about 45 days of red tape from the time that Grusch came out with his leak, which I don't think was a leak.
It's not a leak. Yeah, it was planned.
And what came forward out of that, this is a direct repercussion of that event. And there was so much red tape because of the clearances, what she mentioned due to his clearance levels. There was stuff that they had to go through to get rubber stamped, to get clearance for him to actually come in there and speak to them, even though he is directly in the programs and such that he was affiliated with, are directly subordinate to Congress, allegedly. We're going to hit that again later.
So when she says, you'll hear the word a lot, SCIF. What is that? Is that a secret meeting? Is that what they're talking about?
The SCIF is another meeting. So
closed door?
Think like you got a boat and you got a SCIF. They're
Yeah.
in the boat right
That's
now.
what I thought.
The skiff is in a smaller room, closed room, and the individuals who are in that room all have to have equal level clearance or higher level clearance than what is being disclosed.
Mm-hmm. So what we're saying right here is basically, if your clearance is high enough, you can go in that room. If your clearance is not high enough, you cannot go in that room. That's what you're saying, right? Okay.
It is a
thank you.
need to know kind of situation.
Need to know. Okay, thanks.
If we are to advance oversight and public disclosure, we must also gain the broad support of the public.
That's in there because that was the first use of the word.
Disclosure.
Yep. It's not the last use of the word either.
And might I just want to throw this out there. Garcia became one of my favorite human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. He had some really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the way he addresses things.
Now, my career and training as a longtime and career educator and teacher and researcher tell me that we should never rule anything out. We know that our space, of course, is vast and undiscovered. I also want to note that Mr. Sean Kirkpatrick, director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the component of the DoD office that investigates UAP data, has testified before the Senate this year that his unit has found no evidence of extraterrestrial activity. NASA has also stated they don't have evidence of extraterrestrial life either, and we've heard this, of course, from some of our government agencies.
Let's understand the terminology. That's why I put that there. I want everybody to understand this terminology. They're careful with what they are saying. You will only hear extraterrestrial mentioned in this entire thing without a striking from record kind of a situation. Right. You only hear that one time during this whole thing, and it's later on, and I want you to pay attention to when it happens and what the context is. Yes, and how it's said. But it's also important that we understand and we said this for multiple years. We've been saying this for years. You can't call it alien. You can't call it extraterrestrial because what'd you do? Did you find a driver's license on one of the bodies? I mean, what?
It's because they've been here the whole time.
Right. It's that's a possibility. This is speculation. But
now,
the evidence.
Or during that whole clip where Garcia was talking, that dude who was in the blue tie and blue suit behind him looked like he was really, really trying hard not to fart.
He probably
like he had this look on his face of determination. Run that back real quick.
This one?
And run that clip.
Now, my career and training as a longtime and career educator and teacher and researcher tell me that we should never rule anything out. We know that our space, of course, is vast and undiscovered.
He had a burrito. He had a burrito or something, man. I don't know.
Probably doesn't want it picked up on one of those mics.
Gosh, Anyway, next.
We should come to this hearing with an open mind, and we should not let our existing ideas restrict us on either side.
I applaud you, sir.
Yes, absolutely. And that is a rare thing, and I'm just thankful to hear someone in officialdom actually say something like that.
Yep.
Joe, wow, we got like 80 some comments over there. Through,
man. I've been skimming through them.
Okay.
Fishbelly here says that Grusch is more like a spokesperson than a whistleblower, and that's what we've said all along.
Yeah.
Well, he's being told what he can and can't say. All you have to do to really look at that is his statements on Roswell or lack thereof.
No, you can't talk about Roswell.
Yeah.
So he's like the Billy Mays of this whole thing. But wait, there's more.
Dude. Kinda. So is an interdimensional being extraterrestrial if it lives on Earth but on a different plane?
Not technically. Yeah, it would be ultra terrestrial, as Keel used to say, right?
Yeah. Well, no, ultra terrestrial was like here.
Isn't that what he's saying? Interdimensional
No.
If it lives on Earth but on a different plane, that'd be extra dimension. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an extra dimension.
At least that's how it sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Ike says, Milky Way is spinning too fast. I'm getting dizzy.
Yes. It is.
This hearing will also not be the end of this discussion, but a new chapter and start to years and years of work that many folks, both in the public and within government, have been working on.
So here is the number one part of that you need to focus on. That is going to be a confirmation
that
there's more to come.
Oh, yeah.
This is just the beginning.
What this tells me is December is going to be wild.
I think so. Yeah, I think we're looking at something. Yeah, something big.
I also just want to say more broadly that we should look at this hearing and believe that everything is on the table as it relates to UAPs. I think an open mind is absolutely the best.
Where have we heard this?
There we go.
Right? So Fishbelly, they do. Just wait, because it gets good.
They really do.
Congress created the All-Domain Resolution Office in the NDAA of 2022. In its initial analysis, there are 171 uncharacterized UAP reports, and this is the words from the report, that appear to have demonstrated unusual flight characteristics or performance capabilities. I believe more information is known about the 171 instances. It's time for Congress to reinsert ourselves. I call on our military leaders and intelligence officials to release more information to the American people about UAPs. And to our military leaders, if there's nothing to conceal, let Congress go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the Dugway Proving Ground, or even Groom Lake in Nevada. We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come. Thank you, Ranking Member.
There it was.
Right,
He called out those
Groom
places
Lake.
specifically.
Right, Pat, Groom Lake. Yeah, you heard it. And that's remarkable. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are like, "Oh, it's the same old stuff." It really wasn't the same old stuff, guys. This is unprecedented. This is what should have happened.
This isn't, lightly stepping around it. They're going directly into it.
Oh, they're smashing the doors.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what we're having right here.
Yeah.
The auto caption is struggling. C-SPAN needs an upgrade. That's the truth.
I know. Did you see some of the words? They're
I
great.
think they're using TikTok to do their auto caption.
Yeah, I think they might be actually. Okay.
As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security. It silences commercial pilots who fear professional repercussions, discourages witnesses, and is only compounded by recent government claims questioning the credibility of eyewitness testimony. Parts of our government are aware of more about UAP than they let on, but excessive classification practices keep crucial information hidden. Since 2021, all UAP videos are classified as secret or above. This level of secrecy not only impedes our understanding, but fuels speculation and mistrust.
I like that guy's haircut. But did you hear everything he said, guys? What he was saying about how all UAP videos are classified and are being hidden. The only ones that we have seen are the ones that have been leaked.
Yep.
Purposefully, maybe, but they were leaked. They weren't declassified until well after the leak, and there was no way they could contain it because
That's right.
The internet was just like wildfire.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
It's the idea of these things being repeated over and over again that makes me think something is coming.
No comment.
Yeah.
In 2014, I was an F-18 Foxtrot pilot in the Navy Fighter Attack Squadron 11, the Red Rippers, and I was stationed at NAS Oceana in Virginia Beach. After upgrades were made to our jet's radar systems, we began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace. At first, we assumed they were radar errors, but soon we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, two F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned to base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings. Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs.
You caught that right. They became regular pre-flight briefs. That's how they came down. Now, I remember when this happened, and it was everywhere for a few days.
It was, and then it died.
Yeah, and it was replaced with something else at the time, and I can't remember what it was, but it was
Batman balloon.
Was it?
It was the Mylar Batman.
No.
Balloon, the Mylar Batman balloon that we actually ripped apart.
Yeah, I know what it was. But that's the craziest part about this, because that's how it works. When the really good stuff.
Here's my question: do you
Go
think
ahead.
those radar upgrades were made to detect these things? Or...
Oh, these procedures that he's talking about. These were years ago, way before the radar update. But after the radar update, they're being seen everywhere.
Yeah. So.
In 2014, I was an F-18 Foxtrot pilot in the Navy Fighter Attack Squadron 11, the Red Rippers, and I was stationed at NAS Oceana in Virginia Beach. After upgrades were made to our jet's radar systems, we began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace. At first, we assumed they were radar errors, but soon we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, two F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP.
Oh, that wrong clip.
But while we're there, we glossed over something that was very pertinent.
Okay.
He mentioned.
Go ahead.
Ron, what was the craft?
Oh, that was a Borg in a bubble.
Right?
Yeah.
A cube within a clear sphere.
Yeah, that was that's what it was. That was a Borg in a bubble, right? I mean, that's, I'm joking, but
so
of course
Greg
that's
says, Ashley, they've always had these hearings when an inevitable FUBAR situation is about to happen, so they can claim, hey, we tried having hearings, the intelligence community shut us down. It's their fault.
What you guys aren't talking about is that sphere that he saw was actually the Tesseract.
Tesseract.
Thanos is coming.
Hey,
stat.
I don't really know what that even would be, to be honest with you. There's no logical explanation to have a craft that looks anything like
surveillance, maybe.
Well, maybe, possibly. I don't know.
Maybe the black inside of it is like a computer or something.
I don't know. I'm not gonna. Like I said, I don't want to speculate. So yeah, let's move on.
In the U.S. Air Force, in my National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, reservist capacity, I was a member of the UAP Task Force from 2019 to 2021. I served at the NRO Operations Center on the Director's Briefing staff, which included the coordination of the Presidential Daily Brief and supporting variety of contingency operations, which I was the Reserve Intelligence Division Chief backup. In 2019, the UAP Task Force Director asked me to identify all special access programs and controlled access programs, also known as SAPs and CAPs, we needed to satisfy our congressionally mandated mission, and we were direct report at the time to the DepSecDef. At the time, due to my extensive executive level intelligence support duties, I was cleared to literally all relevant compartments and in a position of extreme trust, both in my military and civilian capacities. I was informed in the course of my official duties of a multi-decade UAP crash retrieval and reverse engineering program, to which I was denied access to those additional read-ons when I requested it. I made the decision, based on the data I collected, to report this information to my superiors and multiple inspectors general, and in effect becoming a whistleblower. As you know, I've suffered retaliation for my decision, but I am hopeful that my actions will ultimately lead to a positive outcome of increased transparency. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Okay, so here's something to take away from this, aside from, obviously the character assassination, the whatever retributions, all that. He had clearance to see some of what the UAP task force had, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But when he tried, but when he tried to view the rest, he was denied, right?
Stonewalled, yep.
Sean Kirkpatrick just a few weeks ago said that there is no evidence of any extraterrestrial, blah, 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 anything fantastic, et cetera, because if there was, he would know.
Yep.
How would he know? If Grusch was denied and he was as high up as he was, then how would Kirkpatrick know?
Didn't they also say they've reviewed all possible evidence or something like that last time?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Patrick said that they had reviewed practically everything. There was only a like 70-some cases still on his desk, and they all needed his attention.
If I didn't just have 24 hours to prepare this, I would have literally went back and I would have inserted him right here saying what he said, but I did not have time to do that. So let's move on.
I want to first thank you for the invitation to speak to the committee on the UAP topic that has been in the news for the past 6 years and seems to be continuing to gain momentum. As you know, my name is David Fravor. I'm a retired commander in the United States Navy. In 2004, I was a commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 41, the world-famous Black Aces. We were attached to Carrier Wing 11, stationed on board the USS Nimitz, and had begun a 2-month workup cycle off the coast of California. On this day, we were scheduled for a 2v2 air-to-air training with the USS Princeton as our control. When we launched off Nimitz, my wingman was joining up. We were told that the training was going to be suspended and we were going to proceed with real-world tasking. As we proceeded to the west, the air controller was counting down the range to an object that we were going to, and we were unaware of what we were going to see when we arrived. The controller had told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
Yeah, for those who don't realize, 80,000 feet is space. So they're dropping down from space, down into flight range, where our jets, right, or our air traffic, and they're just stopping.
You can't just stop like that. Physics won't let you.
Doesn't work that way. Pat, go ahead. What's Pat got up there?
Pat says, you think Grusch is just the victim of a very cruel prank pulled by someone in the Pentagon, like they told him this stuff existed and he believed it?
Not anymore. And I think that's about thinking like that is so at this point, it's no. It's desperate.
That would have been debunked already. They would have
I think we're face. I get it. That's that's an easy thing to go for, but I really don't think so. Not this time. Just because, dude, I can't even think. I wouldn't even be able to sleep if I was that man. Like you would be sleeping with one eye open constantly. There's nothing worse.
Start my car, drink a cup.
Yeah, exactly.
Coffee.
Touch a doorknob. Yeah, there's just no way. I mean, no. It's I think he's legit. And I think he's got some help. That's what I'm thinking. That's
now,
the way
he
I'm
said
saying.
He's never been a witness to a UFO himself.
Correct.
Now, that's not to say that he didn't see pictures.
Correct.
Because he claims that he had seen pictures and file, like all this stuff is in the files.
Correct.
And it's not just one file. Like he went through database.
Or maybe it's not a UFO because it's not unidentified to them. They know exactly what it is.
Right. I mean, yeah. Let's continue on with Fravor because, I mean, he just put it all into perspective.
Yeah.
Yep.
We arrived at the location at approximately 20,000 feet, and the controller called merge plot, which means that our radar blip was now in the same resolution cell as the contact. As we looked around, we noticed that we saw some whitewater off our right side. It's important to note that the weather on this day was as close to perfect as you could ask for off the coast of San Diego. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no whitecaps from waves. So the whitewater stood out in a large blue ocean. All four of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down a small, saw a white tic-tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping-pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look with the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the tic-tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We continued down another 270 degrees, nose low, where the tic-tac, or we considered 270 degrees to where, and we went nose low to where the tic-tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the tic-tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also.
Yeah.
There are multiple witnesses coming forward to say that have firsthand knowledge, and Mr. Grusch just covered that. What concerns me is that there's no oversight from our elected officials on anything associated with our government processing or working on craft. Believe it not, from this world. This issue is not a full public disclosure that could undermine national security, but it is about ensuring that our system of checks and balances works across all work done in the government using taxpayer funds. Relative to government programs, even unacknowledged WAVE programs have some level of oversight by the appropriate committee members in the House and Senate, and this work that is said to be occurring from whistleblower testimonies should not be exempt. In closing, I would like to say that the tic-tac object we engaged in 2004 was far superior to anything that we had on time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 years. If we in fact have programs that possess this technology, it needs to have oversight from those people that the citizens of this great country elected in office to represent what is best for the United States and best for the citizens. I thank you for your time.
I skipped one, so we're going to back up here just 1 second.
We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as we started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cap point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute. You can calculate the speed." We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews that was getting ready to launch. We mentioned it to them, and they went out and luckily got the video that you see, that 90-second video. What you don't see is the radar tape that was never released, and we don't know where it's at, of the active jamming that the object put on an APG-73 radar, and I can get into modes later if you're interested. What is shocking to us is that the incident was never investigated. None of my crew were ever questioned. Tapes were never taken, and after a couple days, it turned into a great story with friends. It wasn't until 2009 until Jay Stratton had contacted me to investigate. Unbeknownst to all, he was part of the AATIP program in the Pentagon led by Lou Elizondo. And there was an official report that came out that's now on the internet. Years later, I was contacted by the other pilot, Alex Dietrich, and asked if I'd been contacted, and I said no, but I'm willing to talk. I was contacted by Mr. Elizondo, and we talked for a short period of time, and he said we'd be in contact. A few weeks after that, I was made aware that Lou had left the Pentagon in protest and joined forces with Tom DeLonge, Chris Mellon, Steve Justice, and others to form Two Stars Academy, an organization that pressed the issue with leading industry experts and U.S. government officials. They worked with Leslie Keene, who is present today, Ralph Blumenthal, and Helene Cooper to publish the articles in the New York Times 2017 New York Times, and it removed the stigma on the topic of UFOs, which is why we're here today.
So, a couple of really important parts right there. The speed. The speed of the object was absolutely insane, apparently. It knew where he was going and got there before him. No one wants to address this. I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, big name skeptics online who think that, this was all just, they're chasing reflections and shadows, and it's all just sensor error. But
these men are trained observers.
That's a Top Gun.
They are trained to fly at Mach Jesus and shoot a gnat's pecker off with a 30 caliber cannon. And you are telling me that they're chasing a reflection? I think not.
Yeah, that's a Top Gun, for real. He is.
Yes.
That does not happen. That is.
It is insulting
to
say that.
100%.
That's what it's about, though, Brandon. Yeah. It's an insult. It's an insult because they really don't want anyone to take these people seriously. The problem is that man is a brick wall. Everything that he says is 100% legit, in my opinion, at this point.
Yes, Ashley.
What'd she say?
She said, "Dang, Jesus must have been fast." Yes. Yes, Ashley.
Oh my god.
Well, they did go to hell and back in 3 days.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. F-16 don't chase reflections.
They don't chase reflections. Yeah, they don't. And I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but this is the first time we actually heard a little more about the jamming.
And And Craig mentioned that the jamming is very telling. It's a
The
pilot
jamming's very
taking an
telling.
evasive action.
Yeah. But it's also important that to understand later on the one video where we hear the guy say there's nothing on the SA. That's what he's talking about. They're trying to figure out if they're using the spectrum analyzer. They're trying to figure out if it's actually emitting. UAP Task Force says, yes, they are emitting. They're emitting between, 1 to 3 gigahertz and then 8 to 12 gigahertz sometimes. And they're only visible on what? Sometimes thermal. Sometimes
Only
just
visible
thermal. Sometimes. Isn't that amazing? I don't know if you guys been watching Skinwalker Ranch, but they came up with an amazing discovery last episode. These things are sometimes only visible in thermal.
How about it?
How about that? Where have we heard that before?
Maybe they're
Anyway.
watching the show.
Oh gosh, if you are, that's great, guys.
And so will you just, for the public record, again, once again, briefly, just either describe or note that aircraft that are being witnessed, particularly by the 30 folks that you're working with, are essentially outside the scope of anything that we know of today and the technology we have today. Mr. Graves, Mr. Fravor?
Yes, the objects that are being seen by commercial pilots are performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country, and that applies for the military as well.
Mr. Fravor?
Yeah, I concur with that. We have nothing that can stop in midair and go the other direction, nor do we have anything that can, like in our situation, come down from space, hang out for 3 hours, and go back up.
Stop, immediately go the other direction, or come down from space, hang out for 3 hours, and then go back.
Yeah. Like, what in the world are you dealing with at that point? And then the ludicrousy is just to say that, we've detected no unusual flight characteristics or no unusual technological evidence with any of these UAP sightings whatsoever.
One other thing they tried to say to debunk that was a glitch on radar. It's like these guys saw it with the naked eye.
Well, apparently the frequency that messed the radar up and interfered with their brain and made them see it, Brandon, because it's not real. It's all smoke and mirrors.
So Pat's saying that he doesn't believe that there's a country on this planet that has technology that is that superior and has kept it a secret. And
Right. You're 100% right, Patrick.
Yeah, they'd be light years ahead of everybody else.
So many simply argue this is just our own military's hidden tech. If it were, why would they make such a big stink about these objects and draw attention to it?
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't, and you're exactly right. You would swamp gas it and push it under the radar, literally. And again, this does get addressed later about the military exercises. So we'll hit those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Grusch, finally, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General and some of which to the intelligence committees. I actually had the people with the firsthand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the Inspector General.
40. Not one, not two, not three, not a buddy who heard it from a buddy of a friend of mine who heard it from a guy who read it in a book. 40 who have had firsthand knowledge.
Pat says anything that had a human pilot on board would be dead if it moved like that. So
not necessarily.
Here's a test that I want you guys to do. Go to your local grocery store, get the cheapest little single container packet of red Jell-O that you can, squeeze it out into your hand, and throw it at the wall. That is what would happen if you were driving one of these aircraft, one of these UAVs.
Not necessarily.
One of these.
Not necessarily.
Unless that clear bubble is a gravity field.
Unless not a gravity field, but a warp field, a actual contained element of space within that has its own gravity source. It has its own inertial dampening. Star Trek talk, man.
And technically, if that was the case, wouldn't even the size be relative? whatever they were witnessing, it could be far, far larger in scale, but we would only be appearing as like a little tiny speck.
Who knows?
I mean, with that kind of technology, about dang near anything's possible.
Well, yeah, with that kind of technology.
Mr. Graves, again, I'd like to know, how do you know that these were not our aircraft?
Some of the behaviors that we saw in a working area, we would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach, that's 0 airspeed, over certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds. These same objects would then accelerate to supersonic speeds, 1.1, 1.2 Mach, and they would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for.
Wingman, go ahead and explain that. Give us a little briefing on that, won't you?
All right, so 0.0 airspeed, just like he said, is kind of like hanging like a bobber, but he stated that these objects were hanging tight in Cat 4 hurricane. Category 4 hurricane.
Hold up, you had a little hiccup there. Try that again, because we do have audio. Go ahead.
Okay, so for those of you guys who aren't familiar, Category 4 hurricane winds are 130 to 156 miles an hour.
What happens to a balloon if it's in 150 miles per hour wind, Joseph?
It pops.
Mm-hmm.
It pops and it goes away. It gets destroyed because there's so much debris. The water that's moving in there is like a pressure washer, and it will literally abrade your skin.
So what about a conventional aircraft?
No.
Is there any way that a conventional aircraft can stay at 0 airspeed?
Not at 0 airspeed, hanging tight in position, because it's no secret. You've got the Air Force has a detachment of C-130s that are specialized.
That's right.
For flying in hurricanes.
Yeah, the hurricane hunters. Yeah,
that's what they do. They're nuts, but they do it. But they're flying into the storm. They normally go against the wind, but man.
But they're flying, Joe.
Yeah, they're flying.
I'm getting at something like, can we?
They're not an object in space.
The only thing we have that can do that is a helicopter. Can a helicopter sustain 150 straight on hurricane force winds?
That's a negative.
Okay. Moving on.
Mr. Fravor, what astonished you the most about the flight capabilities of these tic-tac, very briefly?
The performance. Absolute performance. It was.
And you're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has, in this world, that has those capabilities?
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
I think it's very important that we address what was just said here for the very, very first time, because that was when it was said for the very, very first time. It is beyond anything that we have that's, we're capable in our current capabilities.
Now, Kelly here brings up a good point. They wouldn't turn to goo because their bodies wouldn't be on board. That's been a popular theory, that these are drones of some sort.
AI.
Some sort of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's how it was able to detect where they were going to go, because it ran the math on.
That's what I thought from the very first.
Thanks for hanging out with the Shade.
Yeah, definitely catch the full show to get briefed, because we've got a lot more to go.
It's almost like our understanding of physics isn't complete, and we're being faced with a reality of that possibility. You are absolutely right, Ashley.
Someone just discovered the door to the hallway that leads to the other doors in the hallway, you see. We never knew the door was there. Now we found it. So who knows what's beyond it. And I think that's one of our big issues. We have a lot of people who think that they know everything.
Craig says, have you ever thought that the technology developments from World War II forward may have been a deal with something out of this world?
Well, that's one of the theories, and we're going to actually get that addressed here in a little bit too, because that's in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way addressed. I know that there's a certain individual who does propose that, and it's pure speculation at this point, but couldn't it be? Sure, it could be. Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Well, Kelly, it's a shame that I didn't get to I guess the people that Kecksburg got to see it. That was the whole premise of the case for contact presentation that I did, and it was built around that. Literally, that could be how we actually managed to do it, and it's a pretty strong case, honestly. But yeah, that had to be canceled here in St. Albans because the Men in Black got us. Yep. Yep. Said it was an AC, man. I don't think so. I don't know. I think they hit it with a direct energy beam. It was blue, I think.
Mr. Fravor, what astonished you, Mr. Grusch? Thank you for being here, brother. Thank you all very much. Have you faced any retaliation or reprisals for any of your testimony or anything on these lines?
Yeah, I have to be careful what I say in detail because there is an open whistleblower reprisal investigation on my behalf, and I don't want to compromise that investigation by providing anything that may help provide somebody information. But it was very brutal and very unfortunate, some of the tactics they used to hurt me both professionally and personally, to be quite frank.
Just note George back there taking notes as he's talking.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
I
caught
can't
that
wait
or
to see
not.
what George writes up about this.
Oh, it's going to be epic. This is going to be absolutely epic. And I thought I saw the other day, I don't know if it's where it was at, but I'm pretty sure I saw a photo of Grusch, Knapp, and I think it was Corbell and Taylor together. I don't know. I'm going to try to dig that up and see.
And find that again because that's curious.
Yeah. Now it's really curious. But
That
at the
means
time, I
Taylor
was just like,
there during the hearing.
well, I don't know. I don't think he was, but personally, that's probably who I would have had on the stand. But I mean, he was read in. He was in the AATIP. So.
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes. Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Maybe in if we could get in a confidential area, SCIF, we could talk about that. But unfortunately, we were denied access to the SCIF, and that's very unfortunate in this scenario.
So he asked about extraterrestrials.
This is when my jaw hit the floor.
And Grusch answered. You heard that, right? He didn't correct him. He didn't say non-human intelligence. He said extraterrestrials, and he answered it. I want you to pay attention. This only happens a couple of times during this whole hearing and in a context. So what do we hear there, Joseph?
Well, there was a question asking if there had been any injuries or deaths, etc. And then the answer, which was when my jaw hit the floor, was yes. And he just sat there.
Just let it sink in.
Yeah, let that sink in, guys. He knows some personally who had been injured.
Do you think that means somebody he worked with that got injured?
You would think so. It would probably be somebody because he was prior military, and before he went and started working within the government. So I mean, it's very possible that he knew a guy.
Possible.
Mr. Fravor, do you believe that you witnessed an additional object under the water in relation to your encounter?
I will say we did not see an object. There was something there to cause the whitewater, and when we turned around, it was gone. So there was something there that obviously moved.
Okay, it was not the same object though that you were looking at, correct?
No, we actually joked that the tic-tac was communicating with something when we came back, and because the whitewater disappeared.
They joked about it.
We were in another instance. We're told about the capabilities of a jamming during viewing of when there were some people chasing some of these objects. Did you experience any of that jamming or interrupting your radar or weapons system?
My crew that launched after we landed experienced significant jamming to the APG-73 radar, which was what we had on board, which is a mechanically scanned, very high-end system prior to the APG-79. And yes, it did pretty much everything you could do: range, velocity, aspect, and then it spit the lock, and the targeting pod is passive. That's what we were able to get the video on.
I'm about to run out of time, but are you aware of any of our enemies that have that capability?
Interesting. Interesting.
Are there common characteristics to the UAPs that have been cited by different pilots, and can you describe what the convergence of descriptions is?
Certainly. We were primarily seeing dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere.
I'm sorry, dark gray or black cubes?
Yes,
Yeah.
inside of a clear sphere, where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of that sphere. And that was primarily what was being reported when we were able to gain a visual tally of these objects. And that occurred over almost 8 years. And as far as I know, it's still occurring.
Occurred over 8 years, and as far as he knows, that's still a thing.
8 years. 8 years. And it's still a thing. So it seems like there might be a certain model, that kind of hints at a certain type of craft, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because we know it's not the same one. So it's got to be something.
In the last couple of years, have you had incidences that have caused you to be in fear for your life for addressing these issues?
Yes, personally.
Okay. I just want everyone to note that he's coming forward in fear of his life to put in perspective, if they were really not scared about this information coming out, why would someone be intimidated like that?
That's a very good question. Brilliant question.
Yep.
Brilliant question. How do we know they're telling the truth? They're lying. It's all fake. They're getting ready to do some fake alien invasion, and they're using these guys. Come on. These people have a life, okay?
Yeah.
They have a life. They have a family. They have careers. No. I mean, it's wonderful that you think that's what it is, but in my opinion, you're in a state of denial if you're like that. You're just as bad as some of these skeptics. You're in a state of denial. And it hurts. I know it hurts to come to the realization that we may not be alone in the universe. And we may never have been alone.
Right.
It is quite sobering. I am not going to kid you. I mean, it doesn't faze me, but I can understand my friends who it does faze. And I do honestly feel for them. I'm not kidding.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big shock to learn that you're not the alpha anymore. And that something could literally just think you out of existence, possibly. That's the kind of power it has. Also, probably why it, isn't malevolent, at least at this point, in my opinion. That's speculation. But I would say that if it wanted us gone, we would not be here.
Oh yeah, the technology is so far advanced that it probably would almost feel bad.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's not a fair fight.
Ashley says, and not only are we not alone, they are here.
They never left, dear. They never left. That's
Yep.
the whole point. I think that's the realization. They never left.
Craig says, and they have been for a long time.
Right. And you know how you know it? Because you probably are them. And I know that sounds, you're crazy. Am I though? Really? Think about this. Just think about it.
Good point here, saying that the Defense Act authorizes deadly force. If used, it is not used casually, not overprotecting something no one will believe anyway. It's fact. We scrambled jets after these things,
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just to go out and high-five them.
Right. Yeah.
What is your general interpretation of these phenomena, or what is your current thinking of trying to make sense of them?
Well, I'll say, I'm not like a UFO fanatic. It's not me. But I will tell you that what we saw with 4 sets of eyes over a 5-minute period, still, there's nothing, we have nothing close to it. It was amazing to see. I told my buddy I wanted to fly it, but yeah, it's just an incredible technology.
Will Smith there. I got to give me one of these, right? That's what I heard when I heard that clip. I was like,
oh yeah. He's like, I want to get behind the wheel of one of these. I wanna buy that.
that's a pilot. That's
Yeah.
a Top Gun pilot at that, man.
You should watch the Fly of the Navigator.
That's a need for speed right there, bud. The real one. But yeah, so again, we're going to hear this over and over, and I just want to make sure we reiterate why we're hearing this over and over. It's important. It's the same reason that Congress heard it over and over again. We don't have anything close. We don't have anything close. We don't have anything close. And I think that's it's pretty evident at this point.
To your knowledge, are NHIs working with adversarial foreign governments in either technology exchange programs or back engineering programs?
I don't have data on that. I'm not sure.
Have you heard or you had people come forward to present that evidence?
Not that particular evidence that you just espoused.
Okay, so we're here. This is the spot. There is a couple of narratives that are out there. There's a couple of narratives. They talk about deals and pacts and things of the nature. If there is such a thing, Grusch was not read into it. Let's say that. But there are those who are active who are saying that there are bases where human and non-humans, whatever intelligences, reside and have conducted operations. I'm not going to say one way or the other, yes or no, at this point, because I think it's pretty evident there's a lot going on, and we're not read into a quarter of it at this point.
To your knowledge, are NHIs working with adversarial foreign governments in either technology exchange programs or back engineering programs?
I don't have data on that. I'm not sure.
Have you heard or you had people come forward to present that evidence?
Not that particular evidence that you just espoused.
No. So no, he hasn't heard that. That's what he said. Right? Okay.
With the FAA, to your understanding, pilots that are seeing this, commercial airline pilots, are they receiving cease and desist letters from corporations for coming forward with information in regards to safety for potential airline passengers?
I have been made privy to conversations with commercial aviators who have received cease and desist orders.
So the American public should know that corporations are putting their own reputations on the not the line, but ahead of the safety of the American people. And I think, would you agree with that statement?
It appears so.
Wow.
Oh,
that was a wow moment for me. That was a wow moment. Anyone else? I want to hear comments on this one.
I kind of got chills.
Run it one more time while some people generate some comments. That way everybody can get a chance to hear it one more time.
Yeah.
With the FAA, to your understanding, pilots that are seeing this, commercial airline pilots, are they receiving cease and desist letters from corporations for coming forward with information in regards to safety for potential airline passengers?
I have been made privy to conversations with commercial aviators who have received cease and desist orders.
So the American public should know that corporations are putting their own reputations on the not the line, but ahead of the safety of the American people. And I think, would you agree with that statement?
It appears so.
Corporations are placing their own reputations ahead of the responsibility that their pilots have to report hazards in flight, which is what a lot of these UAPs really are to these pilots and some of these aircraft. They are deemed as hazards because there have been instances where with commercial flights, these objects have come dangerously close. Yet they're getting cease and desists from their employers. Guys.
Right? Right.
There's another reason not to fly commercial.
Right? Right? Exactly. I mean, yeah. What you just said. I mean, it's 100%.
Okay, on the 19th of April, Dr. Kirkpatrick, head of Aero, had said that he did not find any evidence of UAPs. You also stated that you had, in your interview, that you had briefed him on information that you were uncovering, but that he did not follow up with you. Were the items that you divulged to him pertinent to national security?
Yes, him and I had a classified conversation in April 2022 before he took over Aero in July 2022, and I provided him some concerns I had.
Do you know why he might not have followed up with you?
Unfortunately, I cannot read his mind. I wish he did. I was happy to give sage counsel to him on where to look when he took the helm of Arrow.
I love that.
He did.
Yeah.
I can't read his mind. Why is he not here? Why, I mean, he should be. Wouldn't you love to see him there?
Oh man, I'd have loved to see Kirkpatrick.
Oh, I'd love to see him there.
Sitting up there and just squirming like.
Yeah, because that would have been happening. I'm pretty sure that'd been happening. Joe, we're hitting intermission time, and for the traditional podcast listeners out there. So everybody else, stay tuned, stay on. Do not go anywhere.
Hang tight, everybody. This is the wrap up for the audio portion of the show only. Everybody hanging out with us on video.
We're still going.
Hang tight. We're still live. We're not going anywhere. Everybody who's listening to us on audio, guys, you're going to want to jump over to YouTube as soon as you finish this portion. Fast forward in about an hour and 20 minutes, and you'll pick up right where you are leaving off right now. So in the meantime, everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. Thanks for listening to us in your car, at your desk, at work, as you're working a warehouse, whatever it is you guys are doing, listening to us on the radio. You guys are amazing. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you want to continue to support Wild and Weird Radio and keep it free for eons to come, you know what to do. Head on over to wildandweirdwv.com. You can hit the shops from there. You can also jump over if you've had a sighting and jump over to report that to us by hitting the Report a Sighting tab. If you've got questions or comments or generally just want to get a hold of us, reach out to us at wildandweirdwv@gmail.com. Till next time, everybody, stay wild and weird. And remember, if you want to catch the rest of this episode, you're going to have to jump over to YouTube. Fast forward to about an hour and 22 minutes, and you're going to be caught right up. Thanks for hanging out. Stay wild and weird, guys.